started. Okay, so these are a lot more just to get to know you guys a little bit outside of, what your project is, more to get to know the team a little bit. So first question I got for you guys. We're gonna go through 10 rapid fire questions. First thing I got, Twitter Spaces or Telegram for AMAs?
I'm sorry, was that a question?
Yes. Do you guys prefer Twitter questions or Telegram for AMAs?
Honestly, either. We're primarily a Discord group, so whatever works
Yeah,
best, to be honest.
fair enough. Brandon, you got any thoughts?
He had to step out real quick. We just finished
Mm,
another AMA, but it'll be
gotcha.
myself. Let's just go with the TG. That's fine.
Awesome. Binance or Polygon?
Binance.
Binance. Coke or Pepsi?
I guess Pepsi.
Okay. Um, if you are into real estate at all, do you prefer Redfin or Zillow when you're looking up listings?
Um, Last time I had a house, I had a custom built, but I guess I'd go with Redfin.
Fair enough. Would you, okay, if you had the chance in the future, would you travel to Mars? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think you'd be okay with staying there?
Yeah, as long as we have some internet access so I can run my business, and we're all good.
Fair enough. Gmail or Outlook?
Gmail.
If you had to choose one, the Dow Jones or Nasdaq?
NASDAQ.
Uh, James Pelton or Jesse Eckel? This one's
James
always a
Felton.
fun one. James Pelton. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I've worked with both of them, but I like James.
fair enough. I think everybody likes both of them, so it's a good question to ask. And then trading bots or validator nodes.
I like trading bots personally. We'll probably go into why here soon, but I like trading
Yeah,
bots.
yeah. It would be kind of worrisome if you're like, I only do validator nodes, and with everything coming up in the conversation. Um, if you only day trade one market for the rest of your life, would you trade stocks or forex?
That's a good question. I generally do futures, but stocks trading is a little easier to navigate, so we'll go stocks.
Fair enough. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, that concludes our rapid fire questions that we got. And we'll start to get into the team introduction. If you wouldn't mind going into who you are, what you do for Protocol X, and then if Brand, okay, he ended up leaving, but and you can go over the rest of your team and what they do as well, if you wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah, no problem. So Brandis had some technical issues. He'll be right back here in a second. But myself, my name is Neil, or Shiblord here in the socials. I'm founder and CEO of Protocol X. I have a team of 6 total. We are all docs, and I'm KYC'd by Shore. So Brand is my community manager. He'll probably pop back up here in a minute. We have Jack, who's crypto cruelty in the socials as well. He's our Discord administrative lead. We have Steven, who's walks in the socials, and he is our graphics designer and lead on the socials on that end. And then we have 2 advisor kind of lead mod roles from Sally, who's Jared in the real world, and then Adam on the socials as well. So again, we have a team of 6 here. We each have our own, little different parts. I generally run the totality of it. Brand has done so much work. Walks is killing it on the graphics. We work very, very well together. But I do a lot of the I'm doing a lot of the upfront stuff, but also a lot of the background stuff, really digging into different investment strategies, kind of zoning into that kind of economics, kind of trends, and work on all that, as well as obviously leading the entirety of the face of the protocol, I guess, with Brand by my side.
Awesome. Awesome. And that's a really good overview, actually, of what everyone's doing. Do you mind digging a little bit deeper into past experiences of the team and, before crypto, before Protocol X?
Yeah, so myself personally, I first started out in the military back when I was 17. I'm 29 now, so that was a while ago. Then I did that for 5 years, and then I worked in public service and also ran a small business. So I have a little bit of a variety of experience in the real world up to this point. But generally speaking, with that small business, it was a sales kind of orchestrated. It was a boat dealership, so we sold boats up north, and yeah, it's pretty fun business to get into, but it allows you to gain a different understanding and a different perspective of how to work some of the things that we are utilizing and seeing it. The real world work plus crypto. And then I moved to crypto full time this past May. I first got into crypto as an investment strategy I do have an economics background from educational purposes through the Penn State University. So shout out to the Nittany Lions if anyone's up there in Pennsylvania. But I started investing back in 2018, got my first community manager role earlier this year, back in January, in DeFi, and then obviously built up my own project from here. Everybody in our team has a good variety of experience in DeFi and also in real life. So we all kind of help each other. Multi
Oh, you cut out there?
other projects, and I do as well.
Okay. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I didn't catch like the last couple words, but I'm getting the gist of it.
Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. That's really great to hear. I think definitely the experiences that you guys have are going to play into the success of a project, and I think a lot of people forget that the team makes uh a lot of those decisions, and that's going to greatly impact what's going on with the project, the future of the project, how long term the project is looking, and so forth. That's really good to hear. Um, with that, you think you're ready to start to dig a little bit into Protocol X? Because I've been really excited to talk to you a little bit. When I first heard that AMA with MDB, I wanted to get a chance to get a firsthand look at what you guys are doing. So I went and checked you guys out. But you guys definitely have a lot. Zach, would you mind bring Brandon back up here? Um, but you guys definitely have a lot to talk about. So let's get into it. Starting with really starting from the ground layer, so that if anyone hasn't seen you guys, uh, they can completely understand the full picture.
Right. So thank you, Chris. Sorry about that. We've done about 35 AMAs and I've only ever had technical difficulties twice. So I apologize.
You're good.
I'll answer that question for you, but I'll just give everyone who doesn't know who I am. I am Bran, known in the real world as Brandon. I'm the community manager of Protocol X, and I usually come up on these AMAs to help Shib. I'm one of the core team members alongside 5 others, including Shib, and we obviously built the protocol together, working it from the ground up. So I'll touch base on that really now. So what is Protocol X? In the long and short of it, it's another rebase token, right? The only difference between us and other rebase tokens is one, we're not a generic fork. Two, we have external revenue models that we're putting into the token. Three, we have other aspects of the token that makes it different, and I'll touch base on them in a minute. So the first thing that makes us different to a generic rebase token, right, is we don't promise that silly APY. Now, in the long and short of it, it's absolutely ludicrous how people advertise that and say, "Hey, if you invest $1,000, you're going to make $1.5 million, etc., etc." It never works. It's not something that is sustainable. It's not something that's going to happen, right? So essentially, what we do offer is we offer a daily APR, and that's something we do market. The reason why we market that is because we have a thing called a SEM model, a sustainability emissions model. So every single month, the APR decreases by 10%. So in the first month, the APR will start at 1.77%. It will then take a 10% decrease at the start of the next month and continue to decrease until it hits 0.5%. Once it hits 0.5%, we're going to keep it at that, analyze the protocol, and go from there. Obviously, a year in crypto is a lifetime. So we'll
Hmm.
evaluate that on end of year and see what we're going to do with that. So another thing that we have is Solar Protocol, our development team. So we don't have any anonymous developers. We don't have any possibilities of a rogue dev. Solar Protocol are actually doxed and KYC'd. So if you check them out over on their socials, you can see our main developer, Kinsyu, who's working on all the current contracts now and any future development builds. So that's one way we can offer further transparency for people. We also are integrating their liquidity management system into our protocol to create that sort of stabilization and raising price floor. We have many other things we're working on, like non-rebasing liquidity, future treasury management systems, which we're looking to integrate, and also external revenue sources. So before I touch on other things in the ecosystems, I want to touch on what one of our main models is. So essentially, when you have a token, right, 9 times out of 10, they just leave the money in the treasury, pay the team salaries, pay the developers, do the marketing, yada yada yada, right? Say in 4 or 5 months' time, we'll have a blockchain or a DEX or whatever. What we're doing differently from day one, and actually, from the time the token goes live, we will be making that money in the treasury work for us. We currently have 7 strategies. One of our main strategies being our partnership with Ego to use their trading bot to create external revenue sources from outside the protocol. So Ego's trading bot, if you don't know who Ego are, they specialize in building trading bots, and they've only just recently changed it from personal to developmental, and will soon to be bringing it out on a commercial side. So essentially, that trading bot averages between a 20 and 80% return per month. Last month, that month bot averaged a 32% return and has not yet had a negative month within the last 6 months. So we will be putting $100,000 in that from day one and growing our external revenue. What that external revenue will do is supplement team pay, including our moderation team, our core team, everyone as such. Another thing I'll touch base on team pay is we're very, very transparent. We're not one of them protocols. I mean, I'm pretty sure yourself, Chris, you've seen some of these protocols in the recent time that had, a few troubles, and then they found out how much the developers were being paid, right? So in essence, our entire team pay, including all our moderation team, actually works out under $9,000. It's actually a little bit less than $8,500 per week, and that is for our entire team at this current time. So one thing we really pride ourselves on is being transparent in that essence. So for about 14 people, it's about 8,500 a week, right? And that's one thing that not many protocols do, is be transparent. We're not going to sit there and go, hey, X person's earning X amount or Y person's earning Y, and about, because that's obviously the person's discretion, right? You don't sit there talking about how much people are making. But one thing we will be doing is bi-weekly reports or monthly reports, depending on how the protocol progresses, on sort of income we've garnered from external revenue sources and the expenses. Because essentially what we want to do is transition from using the treasury from inside the protocol, building it externally, and using external revenue sources to supplement the internals, right? So things like the market and development sides, team pay, buy and burn systems. Essentially, what we want to do is build that up. So if we could average a 30, even at a worst case, 20% a month, and build into it, in 6 months' time, we have $500,000 in that box, in that bot. That singular revenue model, which is only one of 7, right, will be generating $100,000 at minimum per month. Obviously, you'll have a month where it makes a loss. We're not going to sit there and say that it's not a risk. It's not a guarantee. If it was a guarantee, everyone in life would be rich, right? But it's one of the strategies we're taking. Another way, I could ramble honestly, Chris, for ages. So if you want to stop me and move on to another question, let me know. But essentially, we will be making the treasury work from day one while we build in the background, build them short-term goals, build them long-term goals, and go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I love how you touched that you have 6 other revenue streams that you guys will be having coming in. Because obviously, the whole issue with the rebasing protocols isn't necessarily that things are rebasing. Like, inflation isn't an issue as far as actual supply goes, right? The only issue is when people either panic sell. It's a psychological aspect of it. But if everyone is getting the same percentage of what they put in, technically they have the same amount of money if no one sells. Um, but the issue actually comes in, when there isn't an incoming revenue stream, or there isn't, there aren't these different ways that are the outside revenues coming in. So it's really good on you guys to address that. Um, would you mind starting to dig into a couple of the other revenue streams? Because I know you guys mentioned your APY, and then we can dig a little bit deeper into the APY afterwards.
Yeah, sure. So I'll go into those there. So, like we kind of mentioned, a lot of these are going to be through official partnerships that we've established, and or a variety of other mechanisms that I'm using.
Hmm.
So in the last, several weeks, months, etc., I've been kind of zoning into different strategies, some of which involve, like Ego's trading bot and multiple other custom, strategy trading bots as well that we have developed and will be utilizing there. And then also the investments into things like MDB to create a secondary LP on our main decks when we get that live. Just with their tokenomics of their token, it creates an increasing mechanism, or excuse me, an increasing token pressure mechanism within the LP itself. And then even beyond that, we just had a partnership. We had a partnership AMA right before this with ChainBet that allows us to, facilitate burns while there is a betting and gambling aspect to our token. So that's kind of interesting as well. But primarily, we're going to be bringing in revenue from a variety of different trading bot strategies, very, very focused and designed to, maximize returns, but also limit the risk associated with it. So we can start bringing in revenue early and often. This revenue will be used from everything from the treasury itself, obviously buybacks and burns. We have a built-in liquidity management system to our contracts, so I'll be funding that with revenue as well. And then obviously just compounding back into the trading bots, allow them to work a little bit harder over time. So by utilizing all these different variables of additional revenue streams, but also contractually, sufficient mechanisms to facilitate positive growth, we are, pretty excited to be able to kind of put it all together into one bundle and really get it out there and get it live here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like you guys have a lot of different trading aspects with all these bots and some other ways through MDB plus and things like that. So I'm excited to see how everything goes. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your involvement with MDB plus, what that second LP is going to look like?
Yeah, so MDB was I believe, our second formal partner there. Incredible team. So I got someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, you should try to talk to the Godfather and see if we can get a conversation going." And that's what happened there. And basically, we just started talking, and it facilitated, or excuse me, it met a lot of the requirements that I have for this general partnerships. Great people, great vision, unique strategies, and then the ability to grow and manage through the space as well. So MDB, we're going to be utilizing kind of a two-tiered partnership system, but primarily it's going to be an investment early on. So I'm going to purchase the MDB Plus tokens as part of the initial funds, and then once we get that DEX established, I'll then pair create a secondary LP with our tokens paired to the MDB Plus to allow for that really first paired token on on our personal exchange as well. So it benefits us because MDB is so great at what they do, and their tokenomics are pretty fantastic with the pair. But it's also a good show of faith for the partnership, saying, "Hey, we want to be involved with them moving forward. Here's going to be
Hmm.
an LP. We want them to be front and center when people get up on our desk or on our decks. Sorry, 30 plus AMAs in 2 weeks. My brain is trying to work all over.
You're good.
And then obviously from there, then it's just the visual side of it, working with them via AMAs and different networking, and really incorporating ideally a great system for all of us to thrive upon.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. And I love the fact that you guys are trying to provide that value with that show of faith immediately, within your partnership. I think a lot of times partnerships end up being empty. And I do want to touch up on that in just a second, actually. Um, Kind of leading from that. With the rest of different partnerships, because I know you said that you're really focusing on developing some key partners for your guys' future growth and development. Um, who are a lot of those partnerships with, and then what kind of partnerships are they? Because a lot of times right now partnerships don't really mean much to different groups. So and I know we've had that private talk about that as well. So I just want to like let the public know. What are you guys actually looking for these partnerships, and who are they with coming up?
Of course, so we have quite a few partnerships in the pipeline, right? A lot of the time, you'll know that some of these partnerships are a networking or a growth partnership. However, we do try our best to work with projects that we actually believe in, right? The core foundations, the team, right? Because if essentially you're investing in a team, it doesn't matter what ideology that project says they're going to have. It's the team you invest in, right? Realistically, when you talk about ego, you talk about Nerek and the guys that build the bots. When you talk about you guys, you talk about Zach and Chris, right? You don't specifically just sit there and talk about Cardinal House.
Mm,
You talk about the team behind it. So what we do is we try garner these partnerships with teams, and the way we do that is saying, hey, what can we do to benefit you guys, which can benefit us? Now, essentially, one of our main partners, and I would say it's one of our primary partners, who is Ego. Now, the reason why Ego and our partnership is so efficient is because our protocol will be sustained by Ego system, directly helping Ego generate revenue while also helping us generate revenue, correct? So essentially, that partnership is there where we're constantly going to grow together. The more money PTX have to invest into Ego, the more Ego are going to have themselves. So the more Ego have themselves, the more they can grow. So that is one of our, really proud partnerships that we have. Another partnership we have is Assure DeFi. If you don't know who Assure DeFi are, they're one of the leading KYC providers in the DeFi space, who are the official partners for our DEX XSwap. Now, XSwap isn't going to just be a generic, pancake swap fork and the boring yada yada yadas. What we're actually doing is we're working with, teams such as Magic Finance. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. For
mhm.
Vault on the app. So essentially, the partnerships we're building and the partnerships we've gone, growing with. We've got the Club Monte Carlo in here today. That's another team that we've partnered with. The Club Monte Carlo hosts table games, and we do weekly events with them. However, we're also expanding that partnership and looking to the future and saying, hey, what can we do to work together more efficiently? So now we're exploring avenues where we can have our own platform for table games instead of using an external one. Build our own platform and grow that ecosystem to benefit, right? Benefit the holders, have that additional utility for the token to be able to use it. Like we just got off a meeting with Chainbet, right? We just partnered with Chainbet. That's another partnership who has direct utility for the token already. So you can already see where every time we have a partnership, there's sort of a method to the madness, right? One of
Hmm.
our large partnerships we have announcing very soon. We're hoping today, it may not be today, right? When you work with third parties, sometimes things get delayed and there's nothing you could do about it. It doesn't matter how proficient you are, sometimes there are delays, right? And unfortunately, sometimes the case. But it's essentially what that partnership will do is help not only grow the token, but expand to a further space within the ecosystem, grow in other communities and grow our project, as well as, letting other people know about our project. So every time we have a partnership, it's okay, what can we do to benefit you guys? How can we work in the long run? And how can we benefit you in essence? So there's always, that sort of what is the partnership for? And I get that. It's a, you can just have that generic partnerships that mean not too much. But essentially we do try grow them partnerships to have that real meaning instead of just being, a token on our website with no substance.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think the MDB partnership itself is probably one of the bigger ones within the DeFi space. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, I mean, they're obviously a very good sized group. Um, so their partnership means a lot. And it seems like you guys are really trying to put a lot of quality effort into developing these different ways you could both benefit from each other.
Course. We have, I mean, three more partnerships coming. One of them much larger, and this is no obviously disrespect to MDB. We
Hmm.
love the MDB guys. But if you're talking about hold account, user
Yeah.
base, and obviously establishment, we have got a larger partnership coming. They will be our launch partners. We're not able to announce it prior to our pre-sale closing and B, them announcing us. Obviously, for obvious reasons, right? They don't want the money to our
Yes.
pre-sale and instead of the volume on their exchange, right? Which is fair enough. It's completely understandable. So we can't announce that yet, sadly. Or I suspect that our pre-sale may have increased a little bit more than it is. I mean, speaking of which, our pre-sale is doing extremely well. I mean, in this market, in these conditions, $476,000. And I just want to say that all the project was funded directly by Nil. None of it was any private equity. Nothing came from seed investments. There was no prior transactions. There was no funding prior, right? So everything was Nil paid for it. Nil's going to own it. And Nil is the founder, right? There wasn't the
Hmm.
seed or angel investments. And we kind of pride ourselves on that, right? Because we've seen these other projects where they had the seed investors and then the people that bought the pre-sale who were actually, bag holding and being the loyal ones just got dumped on for that quick buck. And then,
Hmm.
how the domino effect goes. So, yeah, we're really excited, really proud of our partnership so far. We're looking to go, every day there's another idea, man. I can't stress it enough. From the last time we spoke, Chris, I must have mentally changed our roadmap about 5,000 times, right? I'm messaging Neil 24/7, like, bro, this is a great idea. And he's saying, Bran, one thing at a time, please. You're blowing my mind off. But yeah, it's a 24/7 thing, man. If you're not focusing on that short term. Like even I've got Diamonds in here. Diamonds from the Club Monte Carlo who hosts our table games. I'm messaging him going, "Oh, this is a great idea," and he's saying, "Yeah, this is a great idea. Let's work on this." So everything's ever growing, man. I'm really excited, and I think one thing I will say before I shut up because I do waffle a lot. I do apologize about that.
No, you're
Uh,
good.
in this space, I think some of the best projects are the smaller projects, right? And I'll say
Hmm.
that hands down. If you look at MDB, they're not extremely massive, right? But then you compare them to another project, and we'll use it as an example. I'm not afraid to say my mind. The likes of Liquid Capital, right? You've got these smaller teams who are absolutely great at what they do, don't get the recognition they deserve. In essence, let's be realistic, right? And then you've got the teams who I'm not going to say any names or blame the teams, but things happen. The project's dead after 2 weeks, in a nutshell, right? But it's what I want in this space, and it goes back to the partnership question, right? Is unity between these smaller projects. grow together, actually make this a solid foundation where you go, hey, this project does this, this project does this, this project does this. These are all great investments. All of these
Hmm.
projects are growing together instead of going, yeah, F them guys, our project, our
Yeah.
project's the best. It's not that's not how it should be, man. Let's be realistic. But yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. I'll let you ask another question. My
No,
apologies for
you're
this.
good. You're good. And to kind of add to what you're saying right now, I had a call actually with a couple really good guys last night, and I think it was kind of interesting because they are going at it, not in any negative way. Like they're very, very, very awesome people, but they're kind of going at it in a way that's, hey, we're doing this on our own, and they have extremely ambitious goals, which is awesome to see. But something I was trying to also give my little 2 cents in was that when you're looking at doing things on your own and you are this small and you don't have all this VC money coming in order to pay for development or pay for these other things, it becomes significantly more difficult, especially if your idea is such a solid idea that you know big companies will take over if they get the opportunity. So it's really tough because we are such early movers into this space. We have to take advantage of that and work together to, focus on what we're the very best in and really try and excel at that so that we become known for that before, millions of dollars flood into DeFi. So I really
Yeah,
like the point of view there.
it's it's funny you say that because that's exactly Neil's point of view as well. Obviously, we have long-term plans, right? But not everything we just lay out. We can't just show all our cards.
Hmm.
Because essentially, as you said, there are them big guys with millions of dollars who are sitting there could easily, very easily just go, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. Take them a couple of weeks, spend $1 million, and the idea is there. Your idea is completely dead in the water, right? So it's always
Hmm.
best to keep some, some long-term plans on the wraps. I mean, it is a smart idea. It's a way to, ensure that longevity while you work on the short term. So no, I totally agree.
Yeah, so both I mean, you touched on a really good piece, like both keeping, things under wraps, but also working with other people so that you can actually get up and running sooner than, a couple years down the road. Because by then, even if your idea is great, it's going to be really tough to make it popular, or the times are just going to be so far shifted, in a different direction than what you're trying to do. So, but that is really, really awesome. I love that. I love the whole outlook you guys have on partnerships and trying to develop as many as you can. And I think we're really big here about partnerships that are mutually beneficial, because if not, it's really not a partnership at all. So, I do really, really appreciate the fact that you guys are very intentional about delivering on your side of the partnership first, even if that means, like you're not as worried about receiving from your partnership quite yet. It's more about, hey, let me do something for you so that you know that we're a quality partner and we're going to continue doing this in the future. So that's really, really awesome, especially as a new protocol. And if you guys didn't know, just a quick update: their pre-sale is still live, I believe, for like another hour and a half now. It closes at noon EST. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so it closes in about an hour and a half from now. Sorry, we're just talking to our development team at the same time, so apologies for the delay there.
No, no, you're totally good. So, they're still in their infancy as far as the project goes. So just so everyone's on the same page. Um, but yeah, so going back to what you guys are doing with this project, because we kind of have a big picture outlook on partnerships and on who you are and all that kind of thing, and we kind of got the mile high view of what your project is. But as its core, what is the vision behind Protocol X, and what is that long term goal? Not going into too much detail, obviously, but um, where are you guys standing with all that?
Yeah, so the primary focus here is to create an actual sustainable passive income through a couple of different methods on this DeFi platform. So we're going to try to take this rebase protocol, throw in all sorts of sustainability variables, literally a plethora of them, as many as humanly possible that makes sense. Obviously, we don't want to dilute, but we need to, create a variety of different things to be working towards sustainability very, very early and often. And then at the same time, increase transparency along every step of the way, release reports. Obviously, I said we're all doxed, I'm KYC'd. So the transparency thing is great. So we can have this passive income methodology with a token, a passive income methodology with the NFT revenue share system, and then the entirety of the ecosystem, which will begin to feed into each other via the DEX, and then some other future things that we will be building and releasing over time. One of which will be a very more real world kind of business model that I'd like to get live at some point. This isn't like a 6 month thing. This could take quite some time to build up, but there's things that I'd be looking to build towards into the future to kind of expand the real world things that might already be out there, but bring them a little bit more to DeFi and Web3 and integrate a variety of different aspects. That'll be kind of on the streaming side of things. So just as a little hint with that, but we don't intend on leaving the rebase protocol at any point. We plan on making that a very, very, important aspect of the ecosystem from the passive income from the token and from the NFTs, as well as increasing the productivity of the decentralized exchange, and then allow all that to feed into each other as just we expand the ecosystem rather than use this as a platform to move on, which some projects do out there, but I'm not really interested in that kind of aspect.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really good to hear. So you guys are really focused. I know you guys are really focused on trying to create this sustainability piece around everything going on. And do you mind touching up again, just in case anyone didn't hear, on the variable APYs that are coming up?
Yeah, sure. So this is a model that isn't quite out in the space just yet. So
Hmm.
the APY will start at 1.7% daily APR, and that's a rebase token. Rebasing, excuse me, my voice is starting to go. Give me 1 second here. All right, cool.
You're totally good.
Rebasing every 30 minutes, but 1.77% per day. So that's the first month. And then for every month from there, it'll decrease by 10%. So you take that 1.77% daily APR, take 90% of that. Month two is 1.593%, month three, 1.4337%, all the way down to the 12-month mark, for which we will then become a fixed 0.5% daily APR rebasing token. It will not go down further from there. That 0.5% is where I want to be. This allows us to take that natural demand variable that is associated with new projects and with rebase protocols and begin to adjust for the general likely decrease in demand over time built into the contract itself, while we also have all these other external revenue streams work in to facilitate very, very extreme and often buybacks and burns. This just allows us to then create another element of sustainability. Yeah, we're not going to promise people, 900% APR or APY rather. That's just not, or 900,000% APY. That's just
Hmm.
not practical. We all know that people like to sell that myth and that fairy tale. It's not true. We have to fight that inflation early and often via very strategic approaches along every step of the way. And that's one major thing that'll differentiate us from everyone else out there. And then until they start saying, hey, maybe this idea works, and then we might see it pop up, which we're more than happy to see that happen, by the way.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And I think I'm very intrigued by kind of your innovative look into, let's try and create something. Things have been tested. Everything has been an experiment so far. Let's try and use some of those results to create something, something new, to like create some kind of new test that, we'll see if this project succeeds with your variable APY, which is very, very interesting. That was one of the first projects I've heard of doing something like that. And I like how you have your set goals and what those milestones are as far as every month getting down to this percentage and continuing along that route. That's really awesome to hear. Um, if you guys are kind of ready for it, let's get into some community questions. Unless you wanted to touch up on anything beforehand.
Now let's hit them.
Awesome. So firstly, we got. Are you able to share some details or price estimates on the base NFTs you will launch soon?
Yes, so I'll touch base on the X-Share system actually as a whole, right? Because we haven't really touched on it yet. So the base NFTs, which are the common NFTs, will be priced at around 1 BNB. If we have, some mathematical data to be able to increase or lower them, we will let you guys know. But at the current time, they're based at 1 BNB. These won't be released for a couple of weeks. However, I'll explain how they work. So it's essentially what it is a revenue share model, right? So it will be the first rebase token that will have a percentage of tax built into the token to feed the revenue share models, which goes back to holders. So there'll be four tiers for these revenue share models. You'll have the common, the uncommon, the rare, and the legendary. The legendary won't be able to be purchased. This won't have a tangible asset value to it. The legendary can only be, you know, earned or sort of given to you at periodic events. So one way to earn a legendary now is to purchase a maximum pre-sale wallet and hold their maximum tokens until the NFTs are launched. However, we don't believe in that sort of moon boy mentality, and we honestly respect people taking them healthy profits and taking their initial. So you don't need to bag hold your entire bag of tokens. You can take your daily rebases, but to get that free legendary NFT airdrop, you just have to essentially hold the base tokens you purchase, right? So if it's in a month's time, you can still, sell your compounded 1.77% a day if you so wished, or you can hold this down to you. A couple of features these NFTs will have is a split revenue from the taxes. So the contract has a 2% buy and 2% sell tax built in. This buy and sell tax from day one will automatically go to a wallet to fund these NFTs and the revenue share system. We'll also have different tiers with different perks. I'll touch base on the legendary ones just to give you an overview of the maximum tier. These legendary ones, they won't be able to be bought, right? So these will be given to whether you're a whale or a small fish. If you're the best helper in the community, if you've shielded the most, people will be able to earn these NFTs, right? And what they'll have is sort of a round table system where you can have access to one-to-one conversations with the team, video calls, voice calls, group meetings to discuss possible ventures within the token. So sort of DAO system without it being a DAO system, right? I think DAO systems are just a whale game, and usually get manipulated by high token holders anyway, so they don't really have much substance to them. So what we'll be doing is actually engaging in the community, right, and actually speaking with the community. Not only will this sort of have a roundtable system, it will have essentially a percentage of revenue coming from these trading bots. So the legendary one will have a set percent of all, of a certain value of the trading bot that will go directly to that, right? So if the bot has $1 million in it and it's getting, 30% in that month and it makes $300,000, and say, what, for example, throwing out there, 10 or 15% of that goes straight to the revenue share model. If you've only got 100 people holding them or 20 people holding them, that's a fair chunk of money, right, in a month. So these will be ways that we can reward our holders. Now, going from the common, the uncommon, and the rare NFTs, the way you upgrade them is by using a thing called X keys. Now, the reason why we're using X keys to upgrade them instead of just using PTX, I'll touch base on that in a little bit, is because we want to future proof these NFTs. There's a reason why we haven't just done a parser node or a door, right? The reason, I mean, a parser node or something like a card to say that you've got an NFT share. The reason why we've chose passageways for these NFTs is because we want to future proof them. Essentially, what the doors mean is open, if you can open the doors to a new possibility, right? So we'll be implementing these in the future to gamification. The X keys itself will be obviously implemented into gamification one way or another also. With regards to the X keys, the reason why we have them there is because the only way you'll be able to upgrade your X shares is by using PTX. Now, what that essentially does is when you purchase an X key, your PTX will be burnt instantly. That's another way we're supplementing the burn system. By people who want to upgrade their revenue share models, you will have to burn a set amount of PTX to purchase the key to upgrade it. Once you upgrade that NFT, the previous tier gets burnt. Now, the reason why we did this is because what we don't want is it just to be a whale's playground. A lot of times people can only afford either one or two of things, and they can only afford the base one, right? So effectively over time, them common NFTs will be burnt. They'll essentially be deflationary, right, until a certain point. And what that allows is the people who can only afford a common NFT to still have that income increase over time because that supply is being burnt. The same with the uncommons. If you can only afford one upgrade, and you can't afford another one, it's taking you a couple of months to get an upgrade, then the uncommons will burn when people go to rare. And it sort of works in a way where if you're a whale and you want to upgrade to the rare tier and you want to have all these perks, you can, right? But essentially, you'll also be helping the little guys by decreasing their supply, and sort of sharing that them funds into being burnt and more tokens being burnt and supplementing rewards to holders. So effectively, the revenue share model is just a sort of way to bring that ecosystem together, to bring NFTs into the rebase space, use them effectively, and obviously to grow them into gamification and expand from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love the whole overview that came along with that, because I think that's definitely helpful, something that should be touched up on. Kind of branching off of that, what program are you guys using for these NFTs? I didn't realize this, but apparently they're AI generated NFTs.
Yeah, so they're not actually. We did actually have a team design the NFTs, But we thought it was much more cooler to AI generate them, right? So we've got this sort of commercial license with a company called Midjourney, and all of the NFTs had to be minted and created. It's such a vigorous. I mean, Chris, you wouldn't believe how long it took to find the perfect ones, right? Because not only are they AI generated, when you think you've generated the perfect one, there'll be a little feature that isn't in HD, and you're like, oh my god, now I've got to redo it. So these are all AI generated, and the way that these were made is by entering text commands. Things like for the legendary one, you just explain what you have in your head, and that's sort of something I loved about it. Right, it was we got to be as creative as we wanted. Use the moderation team and the shout out to our mods who helped us pick the specific tiers, and that just sort of emphasizes how much we like the feedback from other people and get that external sort of support from the community, the team. Because yeah, these NFTs are wicked. I'm not sure if you've seen them, Chris.
No, do you
But
have
they're
any
all,
to show?
you know what? I've got a Medium link. I'm not sure if I can share the Medium in chat if it'll get deleted or not. But I'm gonna drop you an AMA questions now.
Yeah,
There's a
that'd be
Medium
perfect.
link here, and I'm gonna drop the NFTs, right? And I'll go through them a little bit. Oh no, I can't post pictures. Ooh. But that's fine. If you click on that, you can see some of the NFTs. Some of them are really cool, right? You've got the uncommons, you've got the OG ones, you've got the legendary ones, and all of these were handcrafted by AI generated commands. None of these were designed by like, a guy behind the computer drawing them or building them. Every single one of them had to be perfected using text only. And the reason why we like them so much is because we set that ideology of using passageways because when you unlock a door it opens to new possibilities, and using this AI system, I mean, we did have a guy develop and build an entire X key system, the door system, but essentially this took the biscuit for us. I mean, using AI to generate the NFTs and in the future possibly generate the land as well. I mean, hint hint, I mean, you don't know what can go on there. It's just something that we really like thinking outside the box, using these to implement into our token, and obviously be a little bit different rather than just a generic NFT, right? So if you have
Hmm.
a look in that medium, you can actually see what each tier benefits from. These won't be coming out for another 3 or 4 weeks until we sort of finalize all the contracts as such. But these are also another cool thing that we'll be having coming down the line, and they will be generating, income from day one. But it's just sort of a way that our ecosystem future proofs itself. If we did
Hmm.
a generic pass it, you hold the revenue share bronze card, right? You can't really upgrade that in the future. There's no longevity to that. It is what it says on the tin. Whereas, being a little bit mischievous and a bit mysterious, should I say, sorry, just goes, hey, what these are cool NFTs. What can you do with them in the future? And that's what we're all about, is being able to have a product such as our contract that we can grow from, have the NFTs that we can grow from, right? And not stump our growth. If we decide we want to take a completely different route, we have the ability to, because we haven't, sort of drawn a line where we've said, hey, that can't be upgraded any further. So we're making sure everything has the ability to be upgraded, expanded upon. And the X shares, obviously, we want to move to gamification further down the line. The same with all our tokens as well.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. I really love these pictures. They're really awesome, actually. Um, I guess with the gamification of things, are you thinking more of a gamified aspect, or are you thinking of a game in itself?
There's multiple opportunities. Obviously, we're very early doors, so I wouldn't
Hmm.
want to solidify any options there.
Yeah.
We are looking at the gaming and the arcade sort of table games and
Hmm.
those sort of platforms, right? We're looking into that, but then we also have these doors aspects, right? We have the keys, we have the X swap, and we have PTX, so we can integrate that into a pay to earn and play to earn game,
Hmm.
and use the entire ecosystem because of the zero taxes on transfers as such between the whole ecosystem. We're then able to grow on that. So there's many possibilities. We've got so many ideas, working with teams even now on thinking of ideas, what we can do to grow from there. And obviously we've got Monte Carlo in here who we're going to look to expand on, the table aspect side of things, sports betting and such and that. But these are just, how can I say it? Side quests. We
Hmm.
have our main focus, we have the main goal, and you know what? If I'd be lying if I didn't say our main goal in the entire protocol is to actually give rebase projects a good name again. Provide that, try. I can't sit here and guarantee and say our price will never dip, or our price will never go down, or it won't, or it will work 100%, right? But what I can say is we're going to put 100% into actually trying to make the rebase model and the model itself actually be sustainable for
Hmm.
once, actually have them returns. And that's where I think some projects lose focus too far ahead and go, hey, in 6, 7 months we're going to have X, Y, and Z, rather than going, what can we do now to make the token better? And I think that's sort of something we pride ourselves on, in building that, the utility, and building stuff that the token be used for early on, while also building long-term goals in the background.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. Um, I guess leading back or kind of going back to some partnerships that you guys have had, because I know you mentioned that Midjourney is someone that you guys are talking to right now because of all the AI generated pictures for the NFTs. What are the final I guess what are the fundamental benefits in terms of revenue pertaining to the relationship with MDB?
The NFTs themselves are not a direct correlation to MDB. MDB is just a partner. So the NFTs are, I mean, they're our own kind of development, our own ecosystem there. I know MDB did just release some NFTs, but they're independent from what we're working on. And ours are kind of, growing from the buy and sales tax of the token. So I wouldn't say there's a direct correlation to the NFT revenue share system that we have and then MDB's progress over there with their NFTs.
Okay, so NFT holders aren't benefiting from the um MDB side. They're completely separate.
Oh, yeah, they'll be separate. I mean, we're partners, but they're not in, there isn't anything coming from them
Yeah,
directly that'll go to the NFT shareholders.
awesome. So as far as that goes, what is the I guess I want to make sure that I get this question answered if it was meant in a different way. What are the fundamental benefits for just token holders as far as MDB goes?
Yeah, so the MDB partnership is, like I said, we're investing into them and creating an LP. So with us in putting money into their system and then just that mutual work there, obviously we're buying the tokens. A part of their tokenomics is every buy and sale facilitates a burn of the token itself. So that's kind of what they're doing there. So the again, it's not like a direct, hey, we are distributing something to the token holders of MDB. We're just facilitating their system within our own system so that we can all grow together. That's kind of the general aspect of that exact partnership.
Gotcha. Awesome. Awesome. Good to hear it. Um, sorry, I'm trying to navigate through all these questions, past all these pictures. In the future, you have a blockchain mentioned on the roadmap. Any early details on why your blockchain will be different, given the amount of time, or given the amount of them being created over the next year?
So that's obviously one of our long-term goals and isn't one of our main focuses as of yet.
Hmm.
What we want to do is focus on the DEX in the short term and expand that. The X in our name stands for, cross-chain. So we're looking to expand that, and obviously that's a long-term goal. But I don't want to sit here and give, the false premises that we're going to be the best blockchain. So that will evolve over time. As I said, sometimes in, DeFi roadmaps change, but obviously we'll notify everyone if we find a better idea or a better prominent idea, which we have found multiple of. Like, don't get me wrong,
Hmm.
it's sort of along, Q4 and beyond. It's very, very vague once you get to Q4 and beyond, because
Hmm.
12 months in a crypto space is an extremely long time. I can sit here and, I can sit here and BS you, Chris, and say, in 12 months' time we're going to develop the first flying car. It doesn't mean it's true. I couldn't, say we're going to be going to Mars, as you said earlier. It doesn't mean it's true. So what
Hmm.
we're doing is giving them short-term goals and, saying very vaguely, here's our long-term goal. We've got the decentralized streaming systems. That is, 100% thing we're working on. The possibility of a blockchain, right? I mean, everyone's making a blockchain. We need to still figure out what we can do. And that's one thing we're very transparent about. I'm not going to sit here today, Chris, and say, oh, yeah, we've already got this massive idea planned out for why our blockchain is going to be the best blockchain in the world and everyone's going to love it, right?
Hmm.
It's not the case. It's a very vague part of the roadmap. What we are focusing on right now is the next, 1 to 3 and 3 to 6 months. What can we do in the first 1 to 3 months to not only not lose our engagement, not lose our hold account, because I can make, as I said, Chris, a flying car in 12 months. But if I've got no one in my community that cares, no one's going to care about the flying car. So you've got to have that short-term hype. You've got to have them scheduled releases, have the drops. Don't shoot all your bullets at once too early on, and then build that up over time. So effectively, the blockchain is a back on the back burner. It's not a main focus right now, right?
Hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and hype it up, but we do have many things that we're working on in the short term. That once we have more formalities, lined up, we will work on. But as I've said a couple of times, our main focus at this point in this AMA is making the token sustainable and bringing that external income from the outside in to further feed it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love the idea of, or what, not the idea, but I love the process that you guys are kind of going through as far as focusing 100% on, the things at hand. I think a lot of times things move so quickly that it's really tough to hone in on one idea and take it to its extreme. So it's really awesome to see. Um, Kind of leading on from that. I got a kind of interesting. Hey, I'm getting to it, Brent. So we have Brent the Schiller in chat. Tell me more about partnerships and why you want to partner with me. Those are Brent's words.
Yeah, sir. Let me see here. So, I mean, partnerships are obviously important for everyone's growth and success here. So, the way that we've done the partnerships, I don't want to, I'm sure he's kind of just, playing there as well. But the way that we do partnerships is a variety of different ways. Either we need some direct mutual beneficiary to both sides, or at the very least, a good networking side. So, like Ego, when we formally partner with them way back then, they have gone through the dang roof since then. They're a great team, amazing fundamentals, amazing strategies. Maybe they just need a little bit of eyes on them. And I'll talk about this. MDB, when I partnered with MDB, I didn't know that MDB was already talking to the Ego guys. Teneric over there was leading it. And he just started asking me, the Godfather, I was like, hey, what do you think of them? What do you plan on putting into their bot? And I explained to him what I plan on doing with them and how I know them and everything like that. And now MDB is going pretty heavy into Ego and their trading bot too. So this is a networking thing where we all, hey, like I know their team, MDB might know other people. We actually trust and work with each other. We've been on voice calls, we've been on video calls, we interact all the time. So we kind of get a good idea, a good grasp of the people in this space who are worth investing into. Because quite frankly, there's so many great teams out there that don't have the eyes on them because they're not, scam hype coins and they don't get the traction that they deserve. So
Hmm.
this is a way to facilitate that change in the environment, saying, "Hey, these guys have a dang good strategy. I'm out here shouting Ego's name at the top of the rooftops." Yesterday in one of the AMAs, I said, "At the highest skyscraper in West Texas," which there are no skyscrapers in West Texas. So, that's just what I do there is we're trying to help each other out in the space, and that's how I like to funnel and function with my partnerships. The Assured DeFi one's incredibly important for our decks and for security, so I definitely enjoy that kind of stuff too. But they all have their own piece, and some of them are, it's just networking, it's just trying to get eyes on them, and others are very heavy investments. So I take a variety of different things, and hey, I'm willing to talk to anyone in reference to partnerships, so they got to meet some of the requirements too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
awesome.
just to touch on that as well. Sorry to cut you off, Chris.
No, you're good.
Ego, I'm gonna have a chat with Narek because every single time we have an AMA, I mean, I think it's our 32nd AMA in 2 weeks, right? So we're averaging about 5 a day, and every single AMA we've shouted out Ego. So I'm gonna start coming over there to Narek and the team and saying, hey, I'm gonna want some referral codes at this point. But no, great guys over at Ego, man. And this is what I said to you, Chris, before is some of the smallest teams have the best people in them, right? You've got the massive, hyped up ones, and sometimes just because they're hyped up don't mean they're a great team, right? And then you have the MDBs of crypto, you have the egos of crypto that only need that small bit of recognition, and then they blow up. Like if you look at egos chart, when we first part, and I'm not taking credibility, and Shib just touched on it, but ever since we started bringing light to how great their platform actually is, and that goes with the networking partnerships, right? It's just you have to bring the eyes, and you have to sort of show people that just because they're not a massive crypto don't mean they're not good. And that's exactly what's happened with Ego here, as people have finally gone, hey, PTX are raving about them, right? And they must, if they're doing a pre-sale, and even during their pre-sale, they're telling people to buy, Ego, not financial advice, of course, then it must be a good team. So these some of these partnerships, they have that long term benefit, right? They have that mutual benefit, but some of them, another example is we had some problems prior with a development team, right? So our development team kind of let us down. We then moved to Solar, and the only reason why we got Solar because Narek from Ego, one of our partners, was like, hey, these are really reliable guys. So now we've met Solar, and it's been a great experience thus far, and we've been able to work with them closer. They give us daily updates, they give us scheduled updates, and everything's going nice and smoothly over there. So these partnerships and the networking connections helping each other grow is just something I think DeFi is, missing a bit of. And there was a bit too much hostility in the last couple of months,
Yeah.
within the rebase scene.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we're kind of moving into more of a partnership based thing. I do think people are starting to realize um, crypto is moving extremely quickly. Business and big money is going to enter the space soon. So if people have any hope of succeeding without selling their company and working for someone else, we have to kind of work together to move into that because as big business enters the scene, big money enters the scene, and we have issues competing with, I mean, a big issue right now is people affording devs to work on the project and speeding processes along. So without that, your project can turn from an amazing idea to being something that's just second to the scene if you don't have that funding to get done first. So I completely agree with your point. I'm not sure if that made sense, but but yeah, it's very interesting, and I'm very curious to see where things lie and how many partnerships are kind of going to continue to come out of different projects. But I think that kind of brings us to a close. Do you guys have any following statements? And where can if you guys wouldn't mind dropping the your Discord link in our AMA questions chat, as well as kind of giving a brief overview because I think the pre-sale is an hour long. Or we have an hour left. I'm sorry,
Hour
in the
left, yeah.
pre-sale. Yes, I'm trying to
Hour
think
left.
of how to speak English again. But we have an hour left in the pre-sale. If you guys wouldn't touch up on that real quick and drop a Discord link, that'd be awesome.
Yep. So our pre-sale is live for one more hour officially. So you can engage with our pre-sale up on our website. I don't know if Brian already dropped the link in there, but we'll drop the links there. We have our own website, and there is a pre-sale page on there. Just go on in there. You need some BUSD to buy the pre-sale tokens, and then just a little bit of BNB for gas, of course. But yep, we're live for one more hour. Jump on in our Discord. It's our primary networking group for all of our community. We do have a Telegram, just announcement only, but hit us up in the Discord. My DMs are open, Brand's DMs are open. Ask the questions in the general chat. But we are more than happy to answer your questions, even though we are working with a lot of other people. At the same time, I can multitask very, very well. So hit us up there, and we look forward to seeing you guys all over. And thank you for hosting us today.
Awesome. Really, really glad we got to have you guys on pre-sale pre-sale day. But have a wonderful rest of your guys' days. And then if you guys do have any questions, feel free to drop it in the questions channel, or like he said, DM one of them or join their Discord and message one of them or the mods. But thank you guys for tuning in. It's really awesome to get a group of you guys here on a early Friday morning. But have a wonderful day, guys.
Hey, appreciate you, and talk to you guys later.
Sounds good.